Hi, this is Aaron with Cinema Analytics. Today we're going to look at the box office revenue, profits, and return on investment for movies which were released between September 28th and November 23rd of this year. So these are movies which were released just over the last couple of months. As usual, we're looking at the studio performance over this time period, and the top performing studio, Warner Brothers, followed by Sony, Fox, and Universal. Universal and Fox rather, and Disney, which typically has been the top performing studio in the other reports. This time only 400 million, which of course nothing to sneeze at, but they're actually number 5 out of the major studios as far as box office performance. Looking at the films that were released during that period, Venom is the top grossing picture with over about 820 million total. Bohemian Rhapsody is doing very well, about 600 million. Fantastic Beast, even though it did not perform very well in the US, only about 145 million so far. Its international performance is helping to compensate for that. A couple of other movies that were released that did pretty well. Halloween. Wrath Breaks the Internet is performing very well. That was just released about a couple of weeks ago. A few films that do not look like they're going to end up being a success, just looking at the box office. Bad Times at the El Royale. Perhaps Instant Family. We'll take a look at that when we start to look at revenue and profits. And the same for Green Book. But without a doubt, it looks like Bad Times at El Royale is going to end up to be a loss. So let's go ahead and go to revenue. And once again, we're still looking at that same time frame between September 28th and November 23rd. For box office revenue and, for revenue, and revenue is the studio's take from the box office. So it's not the total box office, it's only estimates of what the studio will take from the box office. But just as we saw in box office tab, Warner Brothers and Sony are the top 2 revenue getters, followed by, actually for revenue, Universal and Fox are closer to being even than they were when just looking at box office. And a lot of that has to do with how much particular movies make in China as opposed to in the US. And once again, we'll look at that a little bit more when we look at the films for revenue and as well as the profits. For the films that were released, once again, Venom is the top the top performer as far as revenue goes, followed by Bohemian Rhapsody, which is doing very well for the studio Fox, with estimated revenue of over 450 million. So it earned about 600 million at the box office, Bohemian Rhapsody, and the estimated revenue is right now it's over 450 million. Other films that are doing well as far as revenue, Fantastic Beast, Stars Born. I did mention that in box office, but it's also a pretty strong performer in the box office. And Wrath Breaks the Internet, which was just recently released, is doing very well for revenue as well. Now, the purple area and the purple points here is the total profit or loss of the theatrical profit or loss combined with the ancillary profit or loss. In this particular instance, we see that for Fox, we have in theatrical profit, we actually have a theatrical loss of profits of 221 million, but we also have 208 million that they're going to gain as an estimate from the ancillary markets. So you combine those and you end up with 186 million estimated profit. And even better than Fox is Sony. This is primarily going to be because of Venom, and we'll see that in just a moment. Well, they have a total profit of 361 million, and that's because both the ancillary market and the theatrical market both had profits. So we'll be adding; those will be additive. And we can go ahead and look at the movies from that time frame, and here you can see where the total profits from just Venom alone is pushing Sony up into that very high profit margin of 361 million. So Venom is working out very well for them. But a couple other movies, Bohemian Rhapsody. Again, remember that Bohemian Rhapsody at this time frame just crossed over 600 million worldwide, but its profits going to be much closer to Venom's because the budget costs and the marketing costs and all those other things is going to be much less than Venom's. So it allows it to kind of catch up to Venom as far as profits. Some other films also, Halloween. It had both a profitable theatrical release as well as, of course, the ancillary market. So there's no loss you have to worry about to take away from the profits from the ancillaries. But some films that look like they're going to end up with a loss even with ancillaries. First Man appears to be one of those films. You can ignore Wrath Breaks the Internet right now because that movie was just released. But Nutcracker and the Four Rims, that movie has been out for a bit, and it looks like it's going to recover a little bit in ancillary markets, but that theatrical loss of 187 million is going to weigh that down a lot to where Disney's going to lose about 150 million on that film. We can take a look at another couple of films. Overlord is also another movie that looks like it's going to take a loss even after ancillaries. All right, we're now taking a look at ROI, return on investment, for the movies between September 28th and November 23rd of this year. This is a measurement of the amount of costs that the studio put into a movie versus its return. And for the studios, Sony, Universal, Warner Brothers are the leaders here as far as return on investment, with Fox coming in slightly over 1.0. So you'll want to, so a movie should be at least 1.0 because that means that the costs are equaling the profits. And once again, Disney, which should have a major hit during this time frame, we can see that their return on investment is only just below 0.5. Universal has the highest return on investment at 1.8. No doubt, if you probably guess, it's because of Halloween, and we can just go ahead and take a look and see that Halloween has an incredible return on investment of about 4.0. So very, very low production and marketing cost, and a very high box office helped give that film a return on investment that's over 4.0. Some other films that did very well in return on investment, Star is Born for Warner Brothers and Bohemian Rhapsody for Fox. And even Venom, which had for a comic book movie, a fairly low production budget of around, I believe it was around 100 million. And so they're getting a very, very nice return on investment. So that's a quick look at the movies. If you want to access this data set, you're certainly welcome to do so. Just go to cinemaanalytics.com. That's CINEMA-ANALYTSES, cinema-analytics.com. So that's it. Thank you for watching. And if you'd like to be notified of any future videos, just subscribe and you'll be notified. Thank you, and see you next time.